All right, how do we count ourselves?
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you at part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Welcome in. Nice to have you. Thank you very much for tuning in on this Tuesday evening. So you've heard a lot about the census admission. I got my card. I put it on the table. I know I have to go. I think I'm late. So tonight I'm going. I get it, but you got to do this. And how Providence County became this lab experiment is kind of interesting. But we are the one lab experiment for the Census Bureau for the 2020 census. And now the big question is, will there be the big question on the census? John Marion is here from Common Cause. He's a really smart guy on a lot of this stuff, and he'll lay out some of the background and some of the arguments for not having that question on the census. And I'll reflect, I guess, on some of the conversations I've had with many of you on the radio about it. It's not as simple as people think it happens to be. And we'll check in on some other things that are going on in the state as well. So thank you very much for tuning in. Here is the latest report on a gathering of public officials yesterday on this important matter.
Every 10 years, the U.S. Census Bureau sets out to count every single person. And getting that number right impacts a lot of things.
The allocation of funds, the allocation of resources, firefighters, police officers, education funds, workforce.
Mayors in Providence County gathered Monday concerned over the 2020 census. As we reported last week, the Bureau is only doing one test in the entire country, and it's in Providence County. These state leaders are concerned the test is underfunded.
Did not include any funding for outreach or public awareness.
At best, this is just gross incompetence. You know, at worst, it's being set up to fail.
John Marion with the good government group Common Cause says although it's just a test, it's important because this is the first census done online.
We have to make sure that website works, it remains secure, and this test is crucial for all more than 300 million Americans.
In the height of the funding concerns, the Trump administration also filed last week to add a question to the 2020 census, asking if you're a U.S. citizen. The governor is one of the leaders looking to stop it.
We have to stand up against it because it's will hurt the people of Rhode Island and, frankly, every other state.
Rhode Island ACLU's Stephen Brown believes it is purposely being done to lower the response.
No question whatsoever that if this is on the 2020 form, there are many people who will be fearful of filling it out.
The Census Bureau responding to the claims they're underfunding the test run in Providence County, saying in a statement, due to some budget concerns, we prioritized our resources for the 2018 end-to-end test to ensure we're sufficiently investing in systems development and integration. We are fully confident in our ability to complete an accurate decennial census in a timely fashion with the funding we receive.
Okay, so thank you to Steve Nielsen for that report. Mr. Marion, good to have you.
Nice to be here.
Let's take the conversation in two parts. This rollout of Providence County on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being bad, 10 being great, how's the execution going?
So we don't have a sense, right? Once it's complete, they'll deliver some numbers. We'll get a sense for how turnout went. But on the ground, we don't see any signs that this is happening, right? So 2 Fridays ago,
Other than what's in my mailbox,
I got a mail piece.
Right.
You know, and everybody in Providence County, which is essentially Cranston North, got this mail piece. Some of them chucked it in the garbage. Some of them filled it out. I filled it out. But I ran into a friend at Eastside Marketplace, and he said, I heard you on NPR. I think I should fill out that form. He was going to chuck it in the garbage. So people were largely unaware this was coming, and they don't know what it's about. And then it gets complicated by there's a national news story happening about the citizenship question that we'll talk about. But that, I think, has sort of muddied the waters here in Rhode Island, where we just need to get this test done.
Originally, if I recall, there were 3 counties that the Census Bureau had identified across the country to kind of roll this out, but we ended up being the last one standing. Have you followed the mechanics of this and why we are exclusive?
Yeah, so 10 years ago there were 5 spots. They cut it this time to 3 spots, a county in West Virginia, a county in Washington State, and Providence. And the idea was in each to test something different. So this is the first time they're going to do the census largely on a website. And so if you don't fill out that form, they're going to come knock on your door, but they're going to have tablets. And there's bad cell service in West Virginia. So they wanted to try it there where there's bad cell service. They wanted to try it on a Native American reservation in Washington State. But Congress underfunded it. I mean, this is in Congress's lap. They underfunded it. So the Census Bureau said, limited resources, let's try Providence. There's some rural in Providence County, and there's some urban. So it's a mix. So that's how we ended up being the last place standing.
Well, it's actually kind of interesting in and of itself, the census aside, that the Census Bureau saw Providence County as a, I don't know, an accurate reflection of the diversity of America. Ought to be a conversation on a lot of other fronts.
Yeah, and I don't know how that decision was made. And it wasn't a public decision. There was no vote by anybody to choose Providence. I would love to know how that decision was made. But I think it is a little bit of a microcosm. You have some
got a very urban city.
Urban cities, heavily immigrant, but very rural populations. Burrillville, some small mill towns. So it's got a little mix of everything.
Yeah. Okay. The history, do you know the history of this in terms of the test run? The test runs are really important to iron out the kinks, right?
So that's the idea here. This is to test new methods and new questions. So for instance, when you fill it out, as you'll find out when you fill it out, there's a question about, are you a same-sex household? Well, that's new because that became the law of the land in the last 10 years. They're testing that question. They're testing, like I said, you're not going to get the form in the mail yet. You got a PIN, and you go on a website and you put in your PIN, and you fill it out on a website. That's new. So they're testing both the questionnaire and the method by which you fill out the questionnaire. So it's a big experiment. We're basically, in a lab.
So all of the returns are online?
So you can return it online. You can answer the questionnaire online. Eventually, they're going to come and try to find you if you don't fill it out and figure out how many people live in your household. That's their job.
Right.
And so I assume at some point they'll hand you a paper form if they get a hold of you, but I don't know that for sure.
I just don't know what the current, I haven't done this research lately. I don't know, Lex, maybe you could look it up on your phone right now, or I will during the break. What is the current, personal computer use in American homes today?
So 5 or 10 years ago, you heard a lot of the term the digital divide, right? And it's that there are households that don't have internet access. Fortunately, Rhode Island has very high penetration of internet access. We also have some of the fastest internet rates, speeds in the country. So there is a digital divide here. It's not nearly as big as it is in rural areas of the country. But yes, so that's why they should be working with libraries and places that have public access to computers. So for instance, somebody texted me last night, they had to go to the post office on Corliss Street. And there's a butcher sign outside the post office saying, fill your form out in here. So they are doing some of that, trying to get you where you are if you don't have a computer, but there's just not enough advertising.
Yeah, not much of a rollout. There's a little information, and Lexi just handed me her cell phone. She's been 2 years on the show and refuses to show herself on television. Only 2% of Americans can't get internet access, but 20% choose not to. While programs like the Connect America Fund have made access to broadband nearly universal in the U.S., less than 3/4 of Americans actually use it in their homes. And that is from, I'm not exactly sure what the source is here, but it seems like it's a smart source. Well, that would make sense to me.
Yes.
I mean, that there would be that many people who still just don't like to be on the computer.
And if you look at the graph, it's usually Pew that does this. And you look at the graph, it goes up very sharply in the 90s, and then it flattens out, right? There are households who are never going to sign up for internet access. And so I think it's about 80%. And we rapidly climbed to 80%, and then it kind of hit the ceiling. And so how are they going to reach the 20%? That's the key.
And we don't know.
We don't know. We
Other than the door-knocking follow-up.
Yeah. And they've hired, I know they had plans to hire over 1,000 people in Rhode Island to do this. So there's going to be people on the streets that we'll see soon.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the challenge of the big question. But in the meantime, let me just remind you that if you're looking to sophisticate your banking world like we always are, Navigant Credit Union now uses the Card Valet app. Everything on Lexi's phone or anybody's phone right there in the palm of your hand. Every notion of your banking life with Card Valet. Online at navigantcu.org, number NCUA. We'll be right back. Okay, so you got to pay attention to this stuff coming to you in the mail if you're in Providence County. If you're not in Providence County, and then again, in Rhode Island, does anybody know what county they're in, John?
I
just like,
I had to look it up. I'll be honest.
You had to look it up?
I mean,
the executive director of Common Cause had to look up what county he lives in?
I didn't know. I live in Providence, the city of Providence. I figured I was in Providence County, but I didn't know all the cities and towns in Providence County. Yeah. We could have a contest. It'd be like those little kids they ask quiz questions of. Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
I'm
it's
not
very,
native,
very humble of you to admit that you did not know that. I want to make sure you know the congressional districts, too. You know who's in what district?
Yeah, I know.
You name a town, you name the name of the district?
Yeah.
I'll give you a little quiz on that. The big question, though, as Steve's package at the top of the show referred to, is this question, which is, are you an American citizen? Which is proposed by the Commerce Department to have, has been included by the Commerce Department to include in the 2020 census. It's not in the test run.
It's not in the test run.
But it is going to be in the 2020 unless litigation or politics changes the ebb and flow of this whole thing.
Or there's some Congress could choose. Congress can always override the question. And then there's an
Congress can what? Pass a law
Yeah.
about how the census works?
Yes.
To be vetoed by the president, so it's going to have to be
Yep.
A pretty significant statement on the part of Congress.
And there's an administrative process it's going through right now. So, Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary, submitted the question to an administrative process. So there are several veto points, so to speak, right? There's Congress, there's the courts, and there's litigation. Just on my way over here, Kilmartin, our Attorney General, joined the New York suit. And then there's, what did I say? Congress, litigation, and then there's the administrative process. So it's got a lot of hurdles between now and 2020.
Yeah, so Rhode Island, FYI, has joined litigation by California, New York, and soon to be other states, suing the federal government to take this question off the census. Forgive me, this isn't John's thought, it's mine. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. The Attorney General is right on this, and I think I don't think he's had a good streak, but I think this is something that most Rhode Islanders, if they pay attention to the ramifications, would understand we really can't afford.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all about money. So the mayors talked at that event yesterday a lot about, there's a lot of formulas.
It's about voting districts.
It's also about reapportionment. Yep, it's about voting districts. I care deeply about redistricting.
Yeah, not to interrupt, but I mean, that's the main objective of the census, is to count people to allocate congressional districts. Go.
And it was Article 1 of the Constitution. It's literally the first thing the U.S. Constitution tells the government to do is count everybody. It doesn't say citizens, everybody. And for 230 years, we've been counting everybody as best we can. And they haven't put a citizenship question on the short form since 1960, and that's what they're going to try to do here.
Now, there's a short and there's a long form, so explain the difference.
So the short form is what everybody has to fill out, right? And that's who lives in your household, how old they are, what sex they are. The long form is teasing out how long is your commute. It's getting more detailed data about your life so that they can make estimates of how much, how long has the average commute gone up in America? How many people work out of state? Things like that.
Long form, mandatory, legal to fill out?
That's a good question. I don't want to say yes. I believe you have to fill it out if you get it.
We always get a long form with the short form?
No. So the long form only goes to a certain part of the population. Not everybody gets the long form.
Gotcha. So people who say, well, we've been asking this question all along on the citizenship issue, not true, and not everybody's had it. It's
Not
been on the
everyone.
long form. but hasn't been on the short form since 1960.
Yeah, and the Department of Justice was the one that said we need to ask this to enforce the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That law has been in effect since 1965. They haven't even asked this question since 1960. It's been enforced since 1965. All of a sudden they need this data. It's a little disingenuous.
You're worried that it tamps down the votes. So are so many of the officials that gathered yesterday. I too can see the plausibility of the argument and believe the argument is true, that if you ask the question, there are going to be some people that say, oh, no thank you, I'm not going there, because they're not citizens and the heat is on and they're worried about it.
Or there's someone in their house who's not a citizen and they themselves
or an
are
uncle
citizens.
or an aunt down the road, right?
Yep. And so there has been research about how this will drive down turnout. And if it drives down turnout, it does a couple things. We get a bad data set, and we use this data set to do all sorts of things, not just government things. Businesses rely on this data, right? And it's going to cost more, because ultimately the Census Bureau doesn't say, well, you didn't fill it out, okay, good luck. No, they go try to find your household, and they try to figure out how many people are in there. So if you don't answer the form, they're going to knock on your door eventually. The estimate is it's $55 million for every 1% decline in the response rate. So it's going to cost us more in the end to chase people down and figure out who's in their household.
Well, the thing is, well, my argument here is that we're all paying for the infrastructure. We're all paying. We're all sharing in whatever benefits come from the federal government. You can talk about arguments against pork and the like, and priorities of spending. Fine, but if we're undercounted and we lose a district, my phone lines have been full of people because everyone's got a bad temperament in Rhode Island for the last 5 or 6 years. 38 Studios has put a poison pill in everybody's mind. We need group therapy. Well, if we lose a district, well, either Langevin or Cicilline's got to go. Blah blah blah. Well, guess what? The majority of voters keep putting them back in. FYI, maybe it's a talk radio disease. But it's not about that. It's about representation. It's about federal assets. It's about all of that. And if we don't count those people, we're not going to, get highways funded the way they need to be. And X number of things that we need to have done.
It's approximately $3,000 per person per year. So for every person who doesn't get counted in Rhode Island, under the current formulas, $3,000 out the door. That, like you said, we're paying in taxes, right? It's going to D.C. It's not as if these people aren't going to be taxed because they're not counted in the census. They're going to be taxed. We're just not going to get the money in return.
Do you think it's a plot? Do you think this is Donald Trump looking to have undercounting in metropolitan regions, thus backdoor penalizing them for sanctuary status, that kind of thing?
I'll say the week before the decision was made public, he put out a fundraising email for his re-election campaign, fundraising off the idea that we need to ask about citizenship. So do I think there's politics involved in the decision? Absolutely.
What do you predict?
Yeah, I don't know enough about how the litigation could go. I was looking today. There was actually a failed census in 1920, right? So the cities were gaining population back in the 20s, and Congress didn't reapportion the seats among the states in 1920, and there was some litigation around that. So I was looking at that today. It's hard to tell where the courts will go, but there's a strategy. File a claim in California, file a claim in New York, see who can get there first. So it's going to be tied up in the courts. Whether that stops the question, it's a coin flip.
In the meantime, if you're in Providence County, fill out your form and get practice counted. When we come back, we have some thoughts on a strange media phenomenon going on right now. Stay with us. So here's a tweet from the president this morning. The fake news networks, those that knowingly have a sick and biased agenda, capitalized, are worried about the competition and quality of Sinclair Broadcast. The fakers at CNN, NBC, ABC, and CBS have done so much dishonest reporting that they should be only allowed to get awards for fiction. You're not a broadcast executive. You're the executive of Common Cause. This is all about the Sinclair Broadcasting mandate that their reporters read this soliloquy about, you know, fair reporting and social media worries and fake news and all of that. And if you have a problem with our reporting, please contact us. You know, my quick point on is that if that's an editorial position of the company, then the company management should make the statement rather than shoving it down the throats of journalists who are under contract and who would be terminated for not for not abiding by their directive. Having said that, what's your take on all this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of concerns. One, like you said, they had the journalists, the local journalists in all these markets, dozens of markets,
including
read this
Channel 10 or across the street.
Same statement, which if you see that viral video, it's chilling to see these people reading the same statement. And we trust them, right? So I have friends on Facebook talking about, I grew up with Frank Coletta, right? He was like an uncle to me. I saw him every morning. I trust him. To see him put in this position, it's lousy for him. Right? I think we can all feel bad for these people whose jobs are sort of on the line because we've seen people get in trouble in other affiliates when they dissent from doing this. And it's just not, it's not good. The message is they're attacking the other media. So they're essentially saying other stuff's fake, listen to us. And, you know, it's not for them to say. Let the viewer figure that out. But using this trust that we've developed with local media, and people really, you know, consume a ton of local TV, as you know, and abusing it this way is terrible. And Sinclair is trying to buy Tribune, right? And so the thought here is they're trying to ingratiate themselves with the administration so that this merger will go through.
It's working with the president. And whether it works with the FCC, who knows? But
and if they buy Tribune, the additional TV stations, they'll have 70% of the markets in the country.
The thing is, nobody knows. Maybe now people pay attention. They know the networks, they know the cable networks. They don't know the ownership of local TV stations. And by the way, neither does the president, because as he goes after these networks that he says are sick and biased, Sinclair owns many networks, many affiliates of these networks, including right here in Providence, where their station is the actual NBC station, a place that he thinks is Satan. You know, so there's not a lot of acumen rolling around here. Give me 20 seconds on what your big worry is about this.
Yeah, I mean, the big worry is that if you have a dominant broadcaster with a particular ideological viewpoint and ultimately supporting certain candidates, that's bad. They're trading on their local reputations to serve a national agenda. And regardless of your politics, it could be from the left too. You just don't want this sort of consolidation because they can shove this stuff down our throats.
You know, the moral of the story, at least to date, is be a smart consumer. Appreciate that. You gonna pick up some part-time work on the census? Go do some door knocking?
Knock some doors. Please fill out the form.
Keep us up to date on that. John, thanks so much. Common Cause. Final word and we come back. Stay with us. So March Madness is over. Villanova is the champion. They just disposed of Michigan rather handily, no doubt about it. And that'll give you some great pause if you're a Friar fan, because look what kind of battles PC had with Villanova, the eventual national champion. So it's good for the local morale to know that we've got the best in basketball. And think about this: look how PC battled Villanova. Look how URI beat PC. We got the big time here, and may not be too very long before we make a visit to the Final Four again. Wouldn't that be great? All right, fill out your census forms. Have a great night. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow at 3 on WPRL. Thanks for tuning in.